Hello everyone, happy Friday, happy long weekend. It's Friday night and it's time for some simple stamping fun. We are going to be playing with the beautiful autumn stamp set tonight and making these three gorgeous cards. This is Lena Gersa. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Cambridge, Ontario, Canada, and I am so happy to be with you here tonight. It's been a while since I've done a Friday Night Live, and I hope that some of you are joining me. So I'm just going to pull up my video on my iPad and see who is here. You guys may have all forgotten about me on Friday nights. Got other plans. Let's see who is here. Anybody here yet? Oh, Annette is here and Jen is here. Hello, ladies. Hope you've had a good week. All right, so we are going to make these three simple stamping cards. Now, any one of these three could be stepped up really easily, but I'm keeping it simple. I held true to the simple stamping rules with the exception of using dimensionals because I just cannot resist. But we're going to make these three cards, and I'm going to show you just how gorgeous this stamp set is. So we're going to start with this one. Nice, easy thank you card. And to start, I have a piece of very vanilla cardstock. It is cut to 4 by 5 1/4 inches. Oh, we got a few more people joining. We got Gail and Wendy and Jen. Hi, Julie. Hi, Elfie. Everybody's here. Excellent. I'm glad you ladies found me. So we're going to start with our vanilla cardstock. Now, my palette tonight includes these awesome fall colors. Now, not all the cards use all of these colors, okay? I should mention that. So this one uses these 4. So we're using Bumblebee, Pumpkin Pie, Cinnamon Cider, and Merry Merlot, okay? So we are going to start with our Bumblebee. And the cool thing about this stamp set, I'll just show you on the case because these stamps are a little bit hard to see because they're photopolymer. So all of the stamp images have an outline image and then a solid image that corresponds. So you can stamp the outline and then stamp the solid image to color it. So you don't need to have coloring tools. All you need is stamps and ink. Okay, so this is the perfect set for beginners who don't have a ton of supplies, which is why I thought this would be a great one to show you some simple stamping projects. Okay, so I have this little bitty leaf one, okay, and we're going to start with the Bumblebee ink. And I'm just going to stamp a few leaves kind of randomly, like they're blowing across my page. Just kind of falling in a bit of a diagonal. And I'm not worrying about, you know, making sure I'm filling in the space because I'm going to use a whole bunch more colors. Okay, so I did that outline image in the full strength Bumblebee. And then I'm going to take my little solid image and I'm going to stamp off. So that simply means I'm going to stamp once on my grid paper and then stamp on my cardstock. And what you'll see, this is not easy to do when I can't look directly over top of my stamp. What you will see is that I get a nice lighter shade of the Bumblebee that fills in the leaf but doesn't cover up the outline image. Okay. All right, who else is here? Hi, Laura. Hi, Deb. Hi, Bonnie. Diane, you made it. I thought we were going to miss you tonight. All right, so we're going to just a couple more solid ones. I have to concentrate while I do this or I'm going to make a big mess. Chalking and stamping is not my forte. All right, one more, and then we're going to change colors. So you'll notice as I'm doing this, I am working from light to dark. That is not really necessary. It's just easier to do it that way because I don't have to clean my stamps in between. I can just go from one color to the next. So that's just a little tip. If you are using multiple colors with the same stamp image, it's a great way to avoid having to clean your stamp all the time. So now I'm bringing in my pumpkin pie and I'm going to stamp a few pumpkin pie leaves. Again, just kind of trailing across my page. I need to keep in mind, I need to leave some space for my thank you sentiment. Okay, so I'm going to leave this as kind of my blank space there. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the pumpkin pie that I did with the Bumblebee. So I'm going to ink my stamp off once, and then fill in each one of my little leaves here. Now you could totally do this without filling the leaves in. They look quite cute just with the outline, but I thought it would be fun to show you just how easy it is to get colored images with this stamp set. All right, so there is our pumpkin pie. And then we're gonna move on to cinnamon cider. Talk about an awesome fall color palette. Oh, I am loving playing with all these fall colors. All right, so same thing. I'm gonna do some full strength leaves with the cinnamon cider. Again, keeping in mind, I need to leave room for my sentiments. And then again, stamp off, and we'll fill in our cinnamon cider leaves. So the trick with this is to make sure you don't forget to stamp off. And that's why I shouldn't talk and do this at the same time, because chances are, the more I talk, the greater the likelihood is that I'm going to screw up. We shall see. All right, so there are my cinnamon cider leaves, and then we're going to do one more set with the Merry Merlot. So again, I'm going to go full strength. Let's do this guy this way. I want them to look as random as I can. I don't want them to look planned, which can be hard to do, especially as you're getting down to the last couple of leaves. It's hard to add them in and not have them look like you planned it. And then we're going to fill these guys in. Again, stamp off once and fill them in. I love the addition of the Merry Merlot to this palette. It just makes them pop. I don't know. It reminds me of the color of a red maple tree. Our neighbors have one in their yard. Merry Merlot always reminds me of that color. All right. There we go. Okay, leaves done and done. While I have the Merry Merlot out, I'm going to take my thank you sentiment and ink it up, and we are going to stamp it in that little space that we left. So this is like minimal layers. Like, this is the ultimate in simple stamping, you guys. Like, you should be proud of me. It's hard to do simple stamping. All right, now this is pretty just as is, but I wanted to add a little bit of additional texture to the front of my card. So I'm not sure how well this shows, but can you see that my paper here is kind of fuzzy? Can you see that? Does that show? I'm not sure how well that shows, but I'm going to show you how I did that. So I just had a bunch of random little offcut strips. These were just laying on my desk from playing around with these colors. And they're all different widths. There's like no real rhyme or reason to it. But what I did is I actually felted the paper. So to do that, what you're going to do is take your bone folder and you are going to burnish these little strips. And eventually, I found the Merry Merlot was the hardest one to get apart. Merry Merlot took a lot of effort. Eventually, the cardstock is going to start to split. And this one is taking a lot longer. There it goes. Okay, can you see that it's just kind of split there? So I'm just going to pull it apart. And when you do that, you get this awesome sort of fuzzy texture, which I think is really cool. Now, not all cardstocks are created equal. I should mention that. Some cardstocks are not dyed all the way through. They actually have a white core. And if you have that kind of cardstock, you will not be able to do this technique, okay? Because you'll just get white. You won't get the color, okay? So then I just cut a little banner, and we're going to go ahead and glue that onto the front of our card, okay? And then we're going to do the same thing with the Bumblebee. This one comes apart way easier. I didn't have to work nearly as hard for this one. And we'll pull that guy apart. No, maybe one more. There it comes. So you just want to be gentle when you're pulling it. If you feel like it's not coming apart easily, burnish it a couple more times, and you'll be good. I'm just going to snip this because I didn't burnish the whole thing. And again, we'll make our little banner end. You could also tear the ends of this. It would look really cool as well, just for a slightly different look. And then we're going to do the same thing with the pumpkin pie. This isn't even straight, this strip, but it doesn't really matter because we're just this is just kind of a just a little bit of a color accent. And look how easy that one came apart. It was super easy. All right. So we'll pull these guys apart. And again, I'm going to snip off a little bit there. And then we'll just make our little banner end. Just like that. Okay, and then these are going to get glued on. So we're going to, and we want to make sure we glue them fuzzy side up. Okay, and they're just going to come on from the edge. Now I did do my sentiment a bit lower on this one, so these are going to be a little bit lower than on my sample, but that's okay. So I'm going to use just a little bit of liquid glue, and I'm going to put it on the smooth side, not the fuzzy side. Starting with the Merry Merlot, I'm going to bring the Merry Merlot over the farthest. Now I am going to make sure my card base here is, or my piece of cardstock is straight so that I can try to get these little banner guys straight. Okay, and then we'll add a little bit of Bumblebee, and I want to cover up my Y, so I'm going to put that a little bit lower than I did on my sample. But again, this is just a little accent, just to add a, it's kind of taking the place of ribbon, really. Because when we're simple stamping, we're not using any embellishments, right? It's just stamp, ink, and paper. And so I thought this would be a cool way to show you to use up your little strip. So you can use this in place of ribbon. It gives the same textural effect as ribbon. You could even stamp on this if you wanted to get a bit of pattern. And then we're going to go ahead and just trim off the ends here, straight across. Okay. Now the other thing I did, and again, this is kind of breaking the simple stamping rules. I wanted just a little bit of a metallic accent on here. So I used a stapler. Now this is a Stampin' Up stapler. We don't carry the stapler anymore. You can just use a regular household stapler. And I just added a little staple here to make it look like I had stapled those pieces on, just for a little metallic accent. It's really subtle, but it just adds a little extra something. And then I layered it on a piece of Bumblebee cardstock. So this is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8 inches. Okay, so we're gonna layer that on there. So again, I'll use a little bit of liquid glue. Oh, Jill has joined us. Hi, Jill. Hi, Kathy. Oh, you've never seen felted cardstock before, have you, Deb? Well, there you go. I taught you something new. Always makes me happy when I teach people something new. All right, and then we're going to put that on a Merry Merlot card base. This is 4 1/4 by 11 inches, scored in the middle at 5 1/2. So we'll fold that in half. And again, a little bit of glue. And we're going to pop that on with just a narrow little 1/16 of an inch border all the way around. And there we go. Super simple, thank you. Okay, really quick and a great way to use up those little scrap bits. Okay, all right, let's move on to number 2. That one was super quick. This one is also super quick. All right, so this one, again, totally simple stamping. The only rule I broke is I used dimensionals here, and I'm going to show you can actually do it without dimensionals. If you want to do like a single layer, I'll show you how you can do that. All right. So I'm starting with the exact same piece of cardstock as I did on my last card. So I'm turning it into a landscape position. So this time it's 5 1/4 by 4. Okay. And then I have another piece of Very Vanilla cardstock that is 1 1/4. Yes, 1 1/4 by 4. All right. So what I did when I designed this card, I actually stamped it upside down. So I actually put this piece on in the bottom corner and then flipped it once I had it all stamped. So that's what I'm going to do, just so I get a similar look. Now I'm going to use just a teensy little bit of seal, and I mean a teensy bit, like just a little dab there, to put on to hold this piece down. Now you could use a Post-it note. I just wanted to use the same size cardstock that I would end up using for my sentiment strip. Okay, so that's why I opted not to use a Post-it note, but you totally could. Okay, so that's just kind of tacked in place. Want to make sure it's straight. And then we are going to come in and do some stamping. So I'm going to start, I should show you your color palette for this one. This one is a little bit, well, it's still fallish. Yeah, that's it. So we've got Early Espresso, Crumb Cake, Bumblebee, and Pumpkin Pie for this one. Okay, all right, so we're going to come in with the Crumb Cake first. And I have this one that I said on Tuesday, reminds me of milkweed pods. So I'm going to take my Crumb Cake ink and I'm going to ink this up. And I'm going to stamp it several times. And I'm going to turn the stamp. I don't want it to all be uniform, right? We don't want it to look all matchy-matchy. And we're going to add one kind of down here. And then we'll add a couple down here, and I'm not worrying about the fact that it's overlapping here because that's going to come off and it's not even going to be an issue. So we'll add one more over here, just like that. Okay, then we're gonna come in. Hello, Martine, happy to see you. Hi, Heather, glad you made it. You missed my little coughing fit. It's actually good that you were late. Okay, so now I'm gonna take some pumpkin pie ink, and this is the solid image stamp that corresponds to the milkweed pods there. So I'm gonna ink it up in pumpkin pie and stamp off once. And this is going to be a trick because I cannot look straight at it. So we're just going to keep our fingers crossed that I don't make a huge mess. And we're going to fill in all of our pods. Now you could do this in any color, right? Like I just opted for pumpkin pie, but it does not have to be pumpkin. It could be anything. Like take your pick. You could do this in greens. It would make a really nice Christmas card. You could do it. Yeah, any color will work. So again, the trick is to make sure you're stamping off, because if you don't, you will not see your detailed image quite so well. I'm taking my time here. I have to stop talking when I'm trying to line these up because I can't think and talk at the same time. Okay, so there we go. Let's put that one away. And then I'm going to bring in my little green stock and some Bumblebee ink, and we're going to ink that up, and we're going to add some green here. And again, I'm just going right over top of that little strip. I'm not worrying about trying to get it. I'm not worrying about alignment or anything like that. I'm just filling in here and trying to create a little bit of a bouquet coming out here from behind my strip. We'll just add a few more of these. And maybe one more here. Okay, so easy. Next up, we're gonna come in with that little bitty leaf stamp again, the same one we used on the last card, with some early espresso ink. And we're gonna ink that up. And I'm just gonna add a couple of little leaves sort of peeking on. So they're just gonna kind of peek on here, and I think I stamped off on my original and I'm not doing it here. Oops! See, this is what happens when I talk and stamp. Oh well, these will be a little bit darker. That's all right, not the end of the world. A little bit of a different look, but that's all right. Okay, so we've got our espresso. Then we're gonna come in with our solid image stamp, and I think because I did the espresso full strength, I'm going to do my crumb cake full strength as well. So on my sample, I actually stamped off both the espresso and the crumb cake. But for this, because I did full strength espresso, I'm going to do full strength crumb cake. I think that will look better. So we're going to just fill in all our leaves here. I am loving all of the images in this stamp set, I gotta tell you. I'm finding it quite versatile. I've been playing around with it quite a bit. I'll show you a couple other cards I did once we're done. Okay, so there are my leaves. Now I am ready. You like it dark, Antoinette? Thank you. I was kind of going for sort of a faded worn look, but the dark totally works. All right, so we're gonna pop this off very gently. Okay, now I'm gonna flip it around. Okay, so that's how I don't know, for some reason I found it easier to stamp the other way around. Now, we are going to stamp My Heart is Grateful for You. Now, we could totally, if you wanted to do a single layer, we've got this perfect spot here. You could stamp your sentiment right there. In fact, I was really torn about what to do here. I was very tempted to just stamp it right on the cardstock, but then I thought, nope, we're gonna add at least one layer. So I have another piece. It's exactly the same size. Okay, so 1¼ by 4, I think it was. We're not going to use the whole piece. You'll notice how I've got a little bit hanging off the edge. That was just to give me a little bit of wiggle room when I stamp my sentiment. So I'm going to ink up my sentiment in the early espresso. Make sure we're fully inked here. And we are going to stamp it a little bit to the right of center. Okay, right about there. And then I'm going to just place this on here to get an idea of where I want to stamp. I'm going to stamp a few more of these little milkweed pods just to fill in this space. So I'm going to bring back my early espresso, no, crumb cake, not early espresso, crumb cake. And we'll ink this guy up, and we're just gonna add one little pod there. And then we'll bring in our pumpkin pie. Oh, 2 votes for the dark. See, it was a happy accident, you guys. I'm improving on my own design. Do you guys ever do that? Do you ever case yourself and like improve something that you thought you liked in the first place? It happens to me a lot. I think I have something that I love and then I find a way to make it better. All right, and then we're gonna just bring in a couple of little green stalks there. And we're ready to glue this on. Now we're gonna pop this up. I know that's breaking simple stamping rules. If you are a die-hard simple stamper, you could certainly glue this flat. But you know me and my dimensional affection. I'm not gonna say addiction. I know you're thinking it. I forgot to bring some more dimensionals over here. I'm almost out. I'm using the frame. Times are tough, you guys. All right, let's peel this off. We're gonna pop it on here. And I'm just gonna kind of line it up with the space that I left when I was stamping. So we're just gonna kind of hopefully get it straight-ish. There we go. Okay, and then we're just gonna flip it over, take our snips, and trim this off. Just like that. Super simple. Okay, now this is just gonna go on a crumb cake card base. Okay, this is 5.5 by 8.5 inches, scored in the middle at 4 1/4. So we'll fold that in half. And we're gonna pop this on. I'll use a little bit of seal this time. We'll pop it on there just like that. Okay. Yeah, I think you guys are right. The dark is better. They pop more. See? You guys are better than I am. All right, number 2 is done. We are rolling and rolling along. Let me get this out of the way. Now, this last one is my favorite, and I think we're gonna actually do what I was just talking about. We're actually gonna do a stepped up version of this card. So I'm gonna show you the simple stamp version, but then we're gonna play with it a little bit. All right, I just need to get rid of some stuff that I don't need. Get rid of these, and we'll get rid of that. Okay, so this last one when I was actually, I was inspired by, this is the solid image stamp that fills in that milkweed or milk pod. And I thought, oh, that would make a really cool wreath. So I played around and I made a wreath. So I'm gonna show you how I did it. It's so easy, like crazy easy. All right, so we are starting once again with a 4 by 5 1/4 inch piece of very vanilla cardstock. Okay, so all the measurements are super easy today. And I needed, so that I could get my wreath relatively round, I needed some kind of guide, circle guide. So this is just, I had a Post-it notepad sitting on my desk. I put my glue dots, my roll of glue dots on the Post-it notepad, traced the inside, and then cut it out. So this is not a perfect circle. It's not even close, but it doesn't matter because I just need a guide. I'm not actually stamping on it. I'm not putting it on my card. It's just a rough idea of what a circle looks like. Okay. I'm going to just set it on top of my cardstock. It's going to extend off the edge just a little bit. Okay. Because I'm not going to have the full wreath on here. You certainly could if you wanted to. But I decided to, just for interest's sake, have it sort of off the edge. I'm going to move this down just a bit. And I'm going to stamp off these guys. You know what? I better clean them, just to be safe, so we don't end up with pumpkin pie in the Bumblebee. All right, so I'm gonna take this solid image stamp again and ink it up. And again, I'm using the circle as a guide. I'm not actually stamping on the circle. So I'm gonna stamp once. And then as I stamp, I am lining up this single leaf in between these double leaves. So I'm just gonna come around like this. And again, and I don't have to worry about being perfect because I'm going to add a whole bunch more layers that are going to help to fill in the gaps. So again, I'm just going to come around like this. And one more, just like that. There's a wreath. How easy is that, eh? So cool. All right, now I'm going to come in with some pumpkin pie. I don't need my circle guide anymore. Now that I have sort of my first layer down, I'm going to come in with the pumpkin pie and ink the stamp up again. And this time I'm going to stamp again right over top, but I'm going to make sure I'm stamping offsetting where I stamped before, right? Because I want to fill in those gaps. So I'm just going right over top, but I'm filling in those empty spaces that I had from my first layer. Okay, isn't this easy and so pretty? I love this. I was so excited when I figured this out. Okay, and then because it's fall and we have lots of colors, we're going to bring in the Merry Merlot. Thanks, Deb. Isn't that cool? I know. I was so proud of myself that I figured that out all by myself. Occasionally I surprise myself. Okay, so now I have that little bitty, so this is that same little tiny leaf solid stamp that we used on the last two cards. So I'm going to ink this up in the Merry Merlot, and now I'm going to fill in some of the larger leaves. And again, I'm stamping wherever there's a gap, or maybe I didn't have a super crisp image, but these are going to add just another layer of color and depth. Isn't that cool, the way that works? I'm so excited about this. I'm going to do a Christmas one. I just ran out of time today. I had to go feed my family. You know how it is. They want to eat. It's so annoying. If only I could just play. All right, we'll do one more there, and we're done. Look at that. Is that not a great wreath? So fun. All right. Now, I mentioned that we are going to step this up a little bit. So for my simple stamp card, I just did the wreath and added my sentiment, but we are going to add a little texture to this. So I have my Tasteful Textile folder, and I'm going to bring in my Stampin' Cut and Emboss, and we're going to add a little texture to this. So let me get some of these guys out of the way so I don't get ink all over my brand new machine here. And we're going to bring in our platform. So this is one of the 3D embossing folders. So when you're using the 3D embossing folders, you need your platform and you need plate number 4. Okay, that's all you need. So I'm going to insert my stamped cardstock into my embossing folder. And whenever you're putting embossing folders through, you always want to put the fold in first. Okay, that will extend the life of your embossing folders. And then we're going to roll it on through. And look at that awesome texture. Is that not totally yummy? I know this is not simple stamping, but you know, I showed you the simple stamping sample. And even as I was making it, I was thinking of all the ways I could bling it up. And I just thought, well, that's what we're going to do tonight because, you know, we can. It's my video. My rules. All right, so super easy way to add, like, look at the difference. Look at what a difference that makes. Just adding that one step, okay? Just running it through an embossing folder makes such a difference. Okay, now the other thing we're gonna do, we're gonna add a little bit of shimmer paint. So, you know me and my little flicky. Well, this was begging for a little bling and sparkle. So we're just gonna bling this up a little bit. And all I'm doing is taking my aqua painter. This is our old version. The new ones are called water painters. They are white instead of blue. They work exactly the same way. They have a little reservoir in the handle that you fill with water. And I'm just using what gets caught in the lid of my Champagne Mist shimmer paint, picking a little bit up with my brush and then flicking it all over my card. That's it. But it adds just lovely shimmer and texture. I'm not sure how well that shows on the video, but it's such a nice little touch. And look at the difference. Look at. Can you see that? I hope that shows. All right, so we are now going to stamp our sentiment as soon as I find what I did with my little bag of goodies here. So our sentiment is going to get stamped in Merry Merlot. I'm going to set that aside so the shimmer paint has a time to dry. And we are going to stamp Have a Beautiful Day. Now, I was thinking this would make a great birthday card, like for a fall birthday. It would make a great wedding card, anniversary card, super simple. We got married in October, so I'm all about the fall wedding cards. So this little strip is a 1/2 inch wide. It's an offcut from when I cut these very vanilla layers. And I don't know, maybe it's 4 inches long. It has to be long enough to fit your have a beautiful day sentiment. I don't know if you just saw my head in there. Sorry if you did. So I'm inking up my have a beautiful day and stamping in the Merry Merlot. And we'll get that out of the way. And then I'm just going to snip my ends into a little banner. You could totally use a punch if you have one, but because we were supposed to be simple stamping, I'm going to try to honor the simple stamping principles. So we're going to trim that into a little banner. And now again, because we're stepping this up, I think we need a little bit of gold cord on here, don't you think? I think we do. So we're going to add some gold cord because we can. So let's do it. We're going to add a glue dot on the back of here. And I might actually let these little fuzzy bits hang out because I kind of like the look of that. We'll see what it looks like. This is kind of fun stamping on the fly here. All right. Ooh, I like that. I like that look. I really like that look. It's a little long, but I like it. All right. We'll let those guys sort of floof out. And then we're going to put that on and then we're going to add a bow. Okay, so let's add some dimensionals. Oh, it does show. Oh, good, Deb. I'm so glad. It's very pretty, isn't it? I love that look. It just kind of looks like somebody sprinkled a little fairy dust across it. I am down to like the dregs of my dimensional sheet here. I definitely need to get a new pack of dimensionals. All right, so we're going to pop this on. We want to make sure that we still have our cord on there. So we're going to just pop that on right. Oh, straight would be good, wouldn't it? Here we go. I think that's straightish. All right, so then we're going to flip this over, trim this off. Just like that. Okay. And then we're going to add a bow. So I think we're going to do a double bow because we can. Now this is the gold cord that is in the annual catalog. It's part of the Forever Greenery suite. Okay, there is gold cord in the holiday catalog, but it doesn't fray like this stuff does. I like that this stuff frays. I really like the look of it. It's a really nice subtle texture to add, especially on fall cards. But if you want gold cord that doesn't fray, then you're going to want the stuff from the holiday. I have a tickle in my throat. Thanks, Elfie. I'm glad you like the wreath. All right, so we're going to just trim the tails on our bow. I should have given you a bow tie lesson. Oh, well, you already had one this week. And then we're going to add a glue dot to our knot of our bow. And we're just going to pop that on right about there. Oh, I like it. And then you know what else we're going to do? We're going to let these guys fray because it just looks so, so pretty. All right. We're good. We're going to add this to our card base. We have a Merry Merlot card base. 5.5 by 8.5, scored in the middle at 4 1/4. So we'll fold that in half and add a little adhesive. Now let's hope this doesn't, sometimes this embossing folder and seal are not friends. They don't play well together. It's cooperating tonight. So, all right, we're going to pop this on. And voila, there we have our stepped up version. What do you think? I mean, the simple stamp version is nice, but this is so much nicer. Bling is always better, right? Right. All right, let's bring back all of our projects. I'm gonna put this one on top because it's pretty. And there you go. 3 simple and a not so simple stamped projects using the beautiful autumn stamp set. All right, you guys, I hope you enjoyed those. I will put all of the measurements up. Again, these are really straightforward, so the measurements are really simple, but I will put them all up in the description a little bit later tonight. And you can catch this video also on YouTube. I'll upload it to my YouTube channel later on this evening as well. Now, moving forward, I am going back to work. Such that it is. It's a crazy, crazy school year coming up this year. And so I am not going to be doing regular Friday Night Lives, but I had so much fun doing this kind of stamp on the fly thing. I may surprise you and do a couple of stamp on the fly things where I don't plan anything, where we just kind of make a card and you guys can tell me what to do. Does that sound like fun? All right, you guys. I hope you have a great long weekend. Happy Labor Day. And I will see you on Tuesday. Tuesday's our first day of school, so I will, well, I will see you on Tuesday and we'll see how things go. All right, have a great weekend, everybody. Bye for now.